please rise, hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing and join the board in a moment of silence as we honor our veterans, our first responders, and our active military. I would also ask that you keep in your thoughts and your prayers the family of Stuart Goldstein, a longtime former employee of the village of Mineola that passed away recently. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our first meeting of October. I would entertain a motion for approval of bills and payroll.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Salaski. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Rivera.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Resolved to approve the minutes of the meetings of the Board of Trustees from September 3rd, September 10th, and September 24th, 2025.
Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Casado. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved to approve a request by Corpus Christi Church to use the village streets for a devotional procession on Monday, October 13th, 2025, from approximately 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., utilizing the route on your agenda.
Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Salaski. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved to authorize the one-year contract extension to the 2023 HVAC service contract. All terms, conditions, and pricing contained in the contract remain in effect for the extension period. The contractor is Five Star Mechanical, Inc.
Okay. Entertain a motion. Motion by Trustee Casado. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved to approve the replacement of an HVAC rooftop unit at the community center by Five Star Mechanical at a cost of $14,550.
Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Clark. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Casado. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved to approve the replacement of 9 packaged terminal air conditioner units at Village Hall by Five Star Mechanical at a cost of $18,525.
Entertain a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Salaski and seconded by Trustee Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. And Mr. O'Keefe.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
So during the month of September, the building department issued a total of 79 permits, including all electrical, plumbing, commercial, and residential. Just updates are 2 of the larger ongoing projects in the village, 111 Second Street and 155 First, continue to progress smoothly and remain on schedule. 155 First Street has the shell of the structure completed. Subgrade plumbing has been inspected and approved recently, and we'll be doing it in phases for each floor moving forward. 111 Second Street has definitely seen a notable reduction in complaints compared to the early stages of construction, being constricted on Hink Way and contractors coming down Main. But thanks with communication and cooperation with the builder, we've been able to have an open communication where we are better positioned to anticipate any potential issues moving forward. So, updates on our new employees: Sina Palumba has completed her 6th month, and Marlene Barbosa will be completing her 7th month at the end of this week. And I just would like the board to know how happy I am to have them in the office. They are fantastic at what
Yep,
they do. So
Absolutely. They're doing a great job.
moving forward, we're going to be doing very
Great.
well. Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
O'Keefe.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gibbons.
I don't have a report, Matt.
Okay, thank you. With that, then, I'll entertain a motion to close the work session.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori, second by Trustee Casado. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Since it is after 7 o'clock, we're going to go right into our public meeting. Just a reminder that next week we have a public hearing. There are 3 items, maybe 4 items on the docket, so there will be a hearing next Wednesday, the 15th of October, for those of you that are interested in coming down to speak about those particular applications. There will be no public meeting next week, okay? We've had a busy month, and we have the continuation of a busy month. Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't start off with mentioning the success of our Chamber of Commerce Street Fair this past weekend. The weather absolutely cooperated. Some, myself included, may say that it was a little too warm, but it was an absolutely tremendous success. So kudos to the Chamber, to those members of the Chamber. They do not profit from this in any way. It is months and months of hard work and organization and coordination, and then always with your fingers crossed that the weather cooperates. It did. It was an absolutely beautiful day, so thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for doing this. It was the biggest street fair that we've had, over 160 different vendors. Just to put in perspective, that's about 40 more vendors than last year, so congratulations. To that end, we also had our last concert in the park 2 weeks ago on the 27th, the U2 concert. It was amazing. As always, there was a little bit of rain, but we got it in, and this was a rescheduled concert from one that had been postponed. And again, as I always do at the concerts, I'd like to thank Linda Pardo, our Deputy Village Clerk, for starting out in December and January. Bands are already reaching out to her, wanting to book the summer of '26. They love our venue. They love our concert series. We love our venue and our concert series. So great success, and kudos to Linda and to you, the residents, for supporting us with that. And I'd also like to thank legislator Scott Strauss, who did help fund one of the concerts, I believe, right? Correct, okay. Coming up, I'm just going to talk about one thing. I'll let the other members of the board talk about some other items. This Friday at 5 p.m. in front of the fire department headquarters, we'll have our 3rd annual Italian flag raising in honor of Italian Heritage Month, which is October. So we invite anyone who would like to come out and show their Italian heritage, and even if you're not Italian, come on down anyway, support your neighbors. There are a lot of communities that have made Mineola what it is today, and certainly the Italian-American community of Mineola is right up there. We do have the Italian-American Civic Association on Willis Avenue, so it will be very quick. We may have some pastries, and we have a student from Mineola High School singing the Italian national anthem and the Star Spangled Banner as well. So 5 o'clock this Friday, October 10th, at Fire Department headquarters. With that, I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor Sartori,
Thank you.
who's Italian-American, by the way.
I am, proudly.
Oh, and, yes. I was going to mention you later.
Last Tuesday, I attended the Women's Chamber of Commerce Happy Hour. It was the first of what I hope to be many events, which was just women-owned businesses. Not all the businesses were in Mineola, but a lot of them were. It was a gathering of about 50 or 60 women. It was held in Royal Blue right here in Mineola, was kind enough to host it. And Karina Morrow, who's the owner of Willow Salon here on Jericho Turnpike in Mineola, was the host of the whole thing. She actually created the whole thing. It included a panel of various women. There's about 5 or 6 female entrepreneurs on the panel. They discussed all kinds of issues facing women who own businesses, everything from setting up the right corporate legal structure to finance questions to how to maximize your network, and most importantly, how to really manage the demands of being a women-owned business and the advantages of being a women-owned business. It was truly great. It was basically a really a good safe space for women to come together and feed off each other and learn from each other and kind of grow as a community and help that community help their businesses grow. So I think it was wonderful. It was very impactful. congratulations, Karina, on a job well done, and I hope to see many more of them in the future. So if you are a woman-owned business, or even a woman thinking of owning a business or considering it, considering how to make what you truly love turn into a business that's fulfilling and successful for you, pay attention to some of these meetings and join them, because I think you'd get a lot out of them. So congratulations again to the Chamber for creating this, and for Karina specifically for helping them create it. And I hope to attend more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Casado,
Thank you, Mayor.
Italian-American trustee Casado.
Mayor, thank you, thank you.
Went to school with Columbus, I believe.
I think you're right. Was that guy behind me?
That was the guy behind you, yes.
So I just want to echo the remarks made by the mayor concerning Sunday's street fair. A great day for our village, and a big thank you, like the mayor said, to Mother Nature. Obviously, many things going on that day. Our Mineola Historical Society took that time to present its Legacy Awards. It was their third year, which obviously will become an annual event. The Legacy Award is presented to those Mineola businesses who have served our village for decades, and I mean decades. And those that will be an award that afternoon, were Cassidy's Funeral Home, Windsor Fuel, Ardito's Deli, Franwin Pharmacy, and Smith and DeGroat Brokerage. Again, decades of service to our village. And also on that day, our Mineola Volunteer Fire Department held their open house, October, Fire Prevention Month. Many activities going on there. People had the opportunity to step into their bucket truck and went 75 feet into the air to see the village fair from above. Children got the opportunity to hold a fire hose to extinguish a simulated fire. And then there were other demonstrations that took place. And I just wanted to thank our volunteer firefighters for coordinating that whole day. And then for me, on a personal note, I took the time to visit the Irish American Society, the tent, which is located on Banbury Road. And yes, you know I'm an Italian. I love cannolis, but you know, you can't beat a corned beef on rye with mustard and a Guinness beer.
Agreed.
So, Mayor, a great day on Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee. Trustee Clark.
It was a great day. We had a tremendous crowd turn out for the street fair. It just shows you how people enjoy coming to Mineola and spending time here, and it's been a lot of hard work over many years. It's proven very successful, so congratulations to the Chamber. And yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed the corned beef sandwich. It was good.
Yeah, they were delicious, oh my God.
Trustee Salaski.
I'll echo the sentiments of the Mineola Street Fair. It was fabulous. Thank you to the Chamber. I just want to remind the residents, October 18th and 19th is the Fall Festival over at Memorial Park from 12 to 6. I think the mayor put in an order for the same weather for the fair for that weekend, so hopefully the temperature will be warm that day. And also on the 24th, the Halloween party up at Village Hall from 6 to 8:30. Come bring the kiddos in costume, they'll have a blast. And that's it for me, thank you.
Thank you. So we have Columbus Day next Monday. That means that we'll have a holiday week sanitation schedule. Check the website, sign up for alerts, and make sure you put your garbage out on the day that you're supposed to put your garbage out. And if you're confused, not sure, give us a call here at Village Hall, or certainly check our website, check social media. You really don't have an excuse not to adhere to the sanitation schedule. There are just two things that I want to add. We also, a number of us participated in the ribbon cutting for the Arena, which is a wrestling and taekwondo gym on Herrick's Road over by Garfield Avenue on the corner. Family is so happy to be here in Mineola. Their original business actually had burned down during COVID in a neighboring municipality, and they decided to reopen right here in Mineola. They participated in the street fair this weekend. They are super excited. So if you have young ones, or if you have, somebody who's into wrestling and wants to perfect their skills, please check out the Arena on Herrick's Road in Mineola. I also got to attend the Knights of Columbus Italian Night last Saturday right here at the Knights of Columbus. The Grand Knight, Mike Vella, is bringing this back. You know, the Irish night, so they have Irish night, an Italian night, and I didn't know this, but at one point they also had Polish night and German night, and slowly as the community has aged and moved on, they've abandoned most of those. The Irish night is the one consistent one, and now, after some years of absence, they brought back Italian night, and it was great. The room was packed, and the food was absolutely delicious. So I say that because, you know, organizations like the Knights of Columbus, the Irish Society, Lions Club, Kiwanis, you know, they are always looking for volunteers. They're always looking for people to step up. The commitment is not overwhelming. Maybe you have to go to a meeting once a month or a couple of times a year. But for us to enjoy these events, you need to have a village literally step in, and it can't always be the same people. We all know that people love to criticize when things don't go well, but where are you when it's time to be behind the scenes and help out? So I think that event, the Italian Night at the Knights of Columbus, just showed that we still have people in this community. We have lots of people in this community who are willing to step up and selflessly give of their time to make sure that all these events that we talk about all the time continue. So kudos to them. With that, I'll open it up to public comment. Mr. Kaufman?
Well, I have nothing to say about everything that you just talked about.
No, you don't have, you can talk about anything. This is a public
think
meeting, so you
it's-
can talk about anything.
No, I think it's wonderful, you know, everybody here is really well prepared and knows their subject, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak in front of you. Is this?
Yep, that's all.
Okay. So why I'm here is the building on Willis, the 101 Willis Avenue building. And is there
101
anything?
Willis or 101, okay,
101
gotcha. You live
Willis.
at Lincoln, but
Yeah.
101 Willis,
Yeah.
which is the Church of Latter-day Saints?
No,
No?
it's the building, it's the one that you want to construct behind the ball field, or next to the ball field.
Oh, that's 110 Willis.
110 Willis.
Okay, but that's
That's
fine,
fine,
that's
as
sorry.
long
fine.
as we know what we're talking
Sorry.
about.
Yep, because 101 is the church across the street.
Okay, well.
Okay, 110 Willis,
I don't have
yes.
any problems with the church. There are questions about it. Okay, so it's about that building. Where are you in regards to that? What's happening with that building right now?
Okay, good question. So we had 2 hearings. We had 1 hearing, preliminary hearing, which I believe was in July,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had a 2nd hearing in September. The hearing is still open. We didn't close the hearing.
Okay.
We have not made a decision. There are still things that need to be made. Just to update you if you haven't been paying attention, the building from July to September got one
One
story
story,
shorter,
yeah.
and some units it was reduced, the number of units were reduced, and the facade, the aesthetic was changed. So where are we with that? Next Wednesday, there's supposed to be a continuation of that hearing. However, there's still information that we need for our water study, our sewer study, and certain legal things that Mr. Gibbons is still dealing with their attorneys that are probably not going to be completed in time by next Wednesday. So I can tell you that it's highly unlikely that a decision will be made next Wednesday, one way or the other.
But it's not an open hearing. I just heard you say that next Wednesday, there's not a public hearing.
No, there
next-
is a public hearing.
There
That's
is a
why I said
public-
there's not a public meeting.
Oh, okay.
So we have
All right.
3 kinds of meetings. Work session, which
Okay.
is where you just heard before,
Okay.
where there's no public comment.
Okay.
We have public meetings, which is what we're doing right now, where you can talk about anything,
All right.
cats and trees. And then we have hearings, where you can only talk about whatever the item is that
Okay.
is being presented. You can certainly come next week.
Yeah.
We're gonna have 4 hearings. One of them is gonna be the continuation of that hearing that you're talking about. You're certainly welcome to talk about it now. The only difference is that whatever you say now will not necessarily be part of the record. When you have a hearing, you have a stenographer here
Okay.
who will say, Mr. Kaufman said this, blah, 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 blah.
I
right?
will memorize everything I say tonight,
So
and I will
you can-
repeat it.
You can come back, next week, just, you know, the building can change yet again. And
I
the
hope
building
s-
could not,
I hope,
there's a chance that we don't vote and approve the building. So nothing has been decided. there's still some legwork to be done, mostly on their side, and then we have to do our due diligence in
Okay.
terms of studying the water and sewer capability.
Okay, my first question, and anybody can answer it, what is the benefit to the town of this building there?
Okay, I'll answer it, and anybody
Please
else
do.
can answer
Yeah.
it. The benefit to the village for me is severalfold. One, it takes an empty building and an empty lot, right, that has been sitting idle for a number of years now, and that would continue to sit idle, and develop it. It also brings in, it expands our tax base, okay, because the building that was there was on the tax rolls and it was paying taxes, but nothing comparable to what this building's going to pay. It brings in mostly, perhaps, either young single or young couples or empty nesters who are people who have disposable income, who are going to shop in our downtown, who are going to shop in Mineola, and perhaps leave from there and go and buy a house in the village of Mineola. And it's going to be retail on the first floor, right? So there's going to be stores. They're thinking, they've mentioned, although we can't hold them to this, an ice cream parlor, a cafe, and a rooftop restaurant or bar restaurant or something like that. Again, these are all things that they're making in their presentation. It doesn't mean that things don't change,
In the final,
right?
yeah.
In the final product, there may be no rooftop garden. And we could certainly, change our mind as well. To give you an example, in their first hearing, they had stadium seating for the MAA to face the fields. It sounded great in theory. When we looked at it, it's too far. There's 2 lanes of traffic in between, and nobody's gonna sit there and wanna watch their kid from 75 feet away when they could watch them right up against the fence. So we had them, we said, we don't like that. They removed it.
Right.
They also asked us, do you want the retail or do you not want the retail, right? And we could say, well, we don't need the retail. We'd rather not have the retail. So this is an ongoing conversation. For me, those are the benefits of the village. You're talking about a building that is not, it's gonna bring in, I think, the type of people that we want in our village, people that are gonna add value to our village, both in economic terms, in cultural terms, in social terms. So it's in our downtown, it's in an area, you live at a building 101 Lincoln that was built in the 1960s, that I'm sure at that time people were probably thinking the same thing. And I think that when you take a building like 101 Lincoln or 100 Lincoln or those buildings that abut the railroad tracks, they have become a part of the fabric of this community. And that's our hope, that these buildings will become a part of the fabric of our community. And then there's the demand. The buildings that have been built are 199.9% occupied. There is demand for this type of use. So I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything. I don't want to dominate.
I echo all of those. I agree with all of those reasons. And for me, I live on that end of the village. I live on the Old Country Road side of the village. For me, that area now seems a little desolate at times. And I love the idea, especially as it's abutted to the ball fields. I love the idea of a community being created there and just kind of expanding what our community is in Mineola. I mean, Mineola is kind of large as a footprint, so there are different areas, right? There's the park area, and there's where I am in Old Country, on Old Country Road, and this area kind of doesn't have that sense of community anymore, and I think it's a good opportunity. And all of those reasons that the mayor just mentioned, I think are a priority, but for me, I envision this as being a little more of a community for our larger village as a
Okay.
whole.
Okay. Just, does anybody live over there and travel on Willis?
Well, I'm on Willis constantly because of where I am on Old Country Road, so
Okay, so
that's
but
kind
when
of
you-
my
when
way
you-
into Mineola.
Okay, so when you come up Willis, you're going through the tunnel?
Mhm.
Okay. And when you're leaving Mineola, you're going back through the tunnel. What time of day do you do that?
All kinds of day.
Okay, so 9 o'clock in the morning, there's a lot of traffic.
Yeah, I've been there.
3:30 to 4:30, there's a lot of traffic. It backs up sometimes all the way to Jericho. This building is gonna have 200-plus parking. If you also have commercial there, you're gonna have more cars there too. in your study for the building, do you take into account the number of cars that will be traveling on the road?
Yeah, so Mr. O'Keefe doesn't do that. so
Okay,
we have-
sorry.
So no, it's all right. So we have
Sorry.
we have an environmental impact
Yeah.
statement, like, again, if you were here at the July meeting, at the last meeting, we have a binder about this thick, and it's got traffic, school-age children, water, sewer, environmental impact, noise, all of it, right? So they hire an engineering firm, I believe it was VHB? VHB. And they do all those studies. So any project of this size, of this dimension, has to have this type 1 or type 2?
This is a type 1.
Type
so
1.
it's 200 or more.
Or more.
units.
It's a type 1, which is more intensive. In other words, they have to do more things. So, again, you could go back on YouTube and watch the meetings. Many people came up. The room was packed at that time, and people brought up exactly the issues that you're bringing up, and they had their parking expert testify as to what this intersection is, that intersection, how many cars. I will say this, and it's interesting that you're here. So today, my daughter's orthodontist is in Garden City on 7th Street. I drove down there, fine, 7 minutes. I live on Mineola Boulevard. On the way back, it took me probably about 35 minutes, okay, up Franklin Avenue. And you know why? And this is gonna be a good example of,
Yeah,
so since the so both of my kids, they have the same orthodontist. My son is 19 years old, so I've been going to this orthodontist for a while. Once that Sears building opened as a medical facility,
right.
the traffic has grown at that time, because my daughter's appointment
Right.
was at 4 o'clock. We got out of there at about 4:45, and this is like right at 5 o'clock. So that Sears building, being in medical use, has exacerbated the traffic. Now, if the Sears building, hear me out here, if the Sears building had been converted to residence, those people are not coming and going every 15 minutes for doctor's appointments. You don't have nurses and PAs and doctors and orderlies and maintenance people coming and going at all times. You have people who leave in the morning to go to work, and at that building on 110 Willis, probably walking to the train station, not all of them, but probably, and then they're coming home from work all day long. So that building that was there, the day op center, my son had his tonsils removed there 12, 15 years ago. It was in and out, in and out. I mean, the amount of appointments. So imagine this building doesn't get built. They build something similar like that, a medical use, but perhaps larger. That would actually be worse for traffic. That would actually create more traffic. I mean, this is proven that a residential use produces less traffic than a commercial use, than a medical use, for example. And I tell you, I experienced that firsthand today, and I thought of that. Because as soon as I hit the Sears building, from the Sears building to Old Country Road on Franklin Avenue, I literally sat and watched the lights turn red and green, red and green. Once I got over the bridge into Mineola, and listen, Mineola Boulevard and Mineola is no great shakes. We all know that. We all know that. But I finally got home. I mean, it literally, so, and to your question, so I've been traveling on Willis Avenue since 1977. I grew up right around the block from there. If you were here, and I think you were, when there was no, tunnel, when it was
Sure.
the grade
Yeah.
level, that would back up all the way to Corpus Christi. It would back up to Lincoln Avenue on the regular, because when the gate closed on the main line, that light turned red. When the gate closed on the Oyster Bay line, that light turned red. And if, God forbid, that one person in the front wanted to make a left,
Everybody waited.
everybody
Yeah.
waited. So it's not perfect, but I think since the building of that tunnel, for me, and I do take that tunnel pretty regularly still, I think it's better. I don't think this use will exacerbate, and people are gonna disagree with me, and that's fine, and that's great, but we have real data from Morgan Park, from 1/3 Avenue, from these buildings that have existed. So when this traffic expert goes out, he's not doing this. There are programs that you can just put in the numbers in a computer model, and it's gonna model. Then there's the actually going out and observing buildings like this in our village and counting the cars and realizing that, you know what, 10 cars an hour leave Morgan Park. 10 cars an hour in the morning leave 1/3 Avenue. But we also know that if that were a commercial use or a medical use, that it would be 100 cars an hour coming and going all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. We also have found that our projects are overparked. In other words, we have more parking spots. We force the developer to furnish more parking spots than they actually utilize, which wasn't happening when 101 Lincoln was built, or when Birchwood Court, where I lived before I bought a home, where there's 444 units at Birchwood Court with only 125 spots, right?
Right,
Today,
yeah.
if we were using today's standards, they would have to have almost 700 spots. So I'm not trying to change your mind, I'm not trying to get everybody to agree with me, but A, we could only hear the proposals that come before us. We would love to put a park there. We
That
would love
would be
to-
a great idea.
Yeah,
Why is that
well,
not,
so-
why is that not a proposal?
Well, because you didn't buy it.
Well,
You know, nobody buys a piece of property to not develop it, right? And you weren't here last week, but people are like, oh, you know, everything's done. We get some ridiculous, you know, requests, including one just literally at your corner, where it doesn't even make it to here. It doesn't even make it. It's dead on arrival, and I get those pretty frequently. So it's not like, you know, by the time they make it here, it has to be something that we're at least willing to hear, that it makes sense. So why not a park? Because the person who bought it doesn't want to put a park there, and we can't force them to put a park. But what we can force them to do is give us amenities, make improvements to the ball field, meet with the ball field, meet with the MAA and the PAL, and work out and meet with the community, sit here and answer questions from the community. So although they're not building a park, they are trying to be good neighbors by saying, what does the community need? You know, you want us to fix the lighting, you want us to fix the facade because it doesn't match with our character in the downtown, we'll do that. You want us to come down a story, we'll come down a story. Maybe if we want us to come down another story, maybe we will. Do you want us to come down 10 units, 20 units, 50 units? Do you want us to make the unit? You know, people walk in here and they want to make units 300, 400 square feet, and we say, absolutely not. They have to be 600, 700 square feet. They would love to build these micro apartments. They would love to shove, you know, because from the outside, I don't know how many units are in 101 Lincoln.
62.
Right, you know, but I don't know that. I just know how I can count windows and see how tall it is. But we try to control those things as well. So, yeah, I would love. I'm sure that if somebody went up to the developer and made him an offer that he couldn't resist, he would sell the property, and then that person could put a park there.
How much do I need?
I don't know. I'm in for $5.
Well, we'll get together on this, you know, I think it's a great idea. You know, I'm talking to people about this, and they're saying to me, you know, we came to Mineola, and we didn't go to Queens because if we wanted to be in Queens, we'd be in Queens, and Mineola to them is starting to look like Queens. And I'm sure you've taken the train in Manhattan, maybe not too recently, but holy smoke. You know, I've been living in New York State for probably 40 years now, and it's unbelievable to me what's happened outside of the city and in the city. It's a lot of development, and I see this in places where I haven't been in 20 years or so. It's frightening what's happening, and I am hoping, okay, that the board makes a decision. Hang on, I have a quote here from you, Mr. Clark. Where is it? Where is it?
Mr. Clark doesn't say a lot. I can't wait to hear it.
This is a critical time in the village with downtown development and revitalization, and I want to be a part of that. I want to make sure that Mineola is treated right and keeps its charm and we don't get overdeveloped, to maintain the village suburban way of life. That is Nassau Illustrated, March 2022. That's you.
Sounds pretty good.
Okay, yeah, I like it, you know, and that's why I'm here, is, you know, is to say, hey, wait a minute, you know, let's not get into a place where we're overdeveloped and you go, gee, I wish I didn't do that, you know, because in 10 years, you can look back on this and say, hey, that Kaufman kid was in front of me and he said, look out, you know, so.
Yeah, we have to
I'm-
balance
I'm
that.
really, you know,
Yeah, it's
I know I have one voice in the crowd here, but it's gotta be more than tax dollars, it's gotta be more than just, you know,
And it
apartments,
is.
you know.
And it
The
is.
development is happening in the downtown. We're not going into neighborhoods and, you know, wiping out homes and changing the look of the village and neighborhood areas. It's areas where, like on Willis Avenue, we're not gonna put residential homes in that spot. You know, what can we put there that best serves the community? And it's not a medical building.
That's for
It's
sure.
not, you
We got a
know,
lot of those.
You know, so we're looking for the best way to serve.
But why not
them.
extend the ball field out into
Again, because we
I
don't
know
own the
you don't own the
property.
building.
Yeah,
We don't own the
and-
property.
And we couldn't, and if we could buy it, we would, but my treasurer, who's not here, would have a heart attack. And people, and it's not my money, but I will say this, so, and again, and I don't wanna go on, because we could certainly disagree, but first of all, we are 800,000 housing units short of demand on Long Island in the next few decades. These are studies that are saying we don't have enough housing, okay? So we're doing again, nobody would build these things if people weren't willing to live in them. People are literally, you know, on waiting lists to get into these places, right? And then you talk about going to Queens, and I taught a class about New York City for 20-some odd years. I lived in New York City for a time when we first got married. I think everyone would look at places like Hudson Yards, the High Line, the Brooklyn waterfront, and say, success. Nobody would say that developing in those neighborhoods, in some cases, a lot of density, high rises, that is not better than what was there before. And if we look at what was there before, in many of the places where we've built, I think what's there now is better than what was there before. You're absolutely right. In 10 years, we may look back and say, we overdid it, but I can also tell you, and this is something, and by the way, you're not one voice. At that July meeting and at the September meeting, we had dozens of voices, and we heard them, and we're up here to balance that. We all live here. Most of us grew up here, raising our families here. We do want to keep that quote that you attributed to Mr. Clark could have been said by any one of us, because I agree with that. I want to maintain that suburban quality of life for sure, but there are places, and I think we're running out of places. I think this could conceivably be the last spot, other than the Western Beef property,
Next
right?
problem.
Okay, where I've made clear my wishes that that is not going to become anything like this, right? Future boards may see things differently, but I would say that this piece of property right there at 110 Willis is perhaps the last chance that we have. And even with that, we built more housing in the decade that your building was built, from the late 50s to the late 60s, than we have from 2015 to today. In the 10 years of the 60s, we built more units than we did in the last 10 years. And again, I'm probably repeating myself, and people saying he's always making the same arguments, but I don't know if I've made this argument to you. In 1970, the village of Mineola had 21,000 people. Today, the village of Mineola does not have 21,000 people. It has less than 21,000 people.
Wow.
We had more people living in Mineola in 1970, when everybody thought that we were not like Queens, when, by the way, we were building your building and many others, which to me look more like Queens than the ones that we're building now. Maybe not as high, but in terms of the aesthetic of it. Nassau County had more people in 1970 than it does today. And those are facts. But if we want to keep our kids here, and I know prices, and we don't control those, and these rents are exorbitant, they are high, but people are paying them. But if we want to keep our kids here, maybe they don't have enough to put down a down payment on a house. Perhaps this is something that they can do for a couple of years and stay here. And the people that are moving into these buildings, Mr. Kaufman, these are doctors, these are professionals, these are young families, these are empty nesters who want to stay in Mineola. And those events that we just mentioned earlier, all those events from the street fairs to the concerts, all that, those are the things that we're doing to make sure that those people stay here, spend here, patronize local businesses. So, but it's not a done deal. You can certainly come next week and you can say exactly what you said today. There will be other people here, and I can say that, you know, that project is not being approved next week.
It's
Yeah.
not being approved.
Not next week.
Okay, so I have a chance.
So you have it right, and we're listening to you.
Yeah.
We listen to you, they listen to us.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say, you know, at the previous meeting, somebody said, oh, everything's a done deal before it gets here. And I just want to reiterate this. None of it is a done deal. You do have a chance. We are listening to all of our residents, you and everybody who came to this meeting, everyone who speaks to all of us during the week when they see us about their viewpoints on these, because we ultimately, we care about our community and we care about what you guys think. And this is a balancing act. So yes, should we build where there's desolate property? We should put something there. How it's built there, making sure it's not too high, making sure they do things that help our community is what our jobs are. So it is a balancing act, and I hope that you guys respect how hard that is for us to do. And we are listening to you, so you definitely still have a chance in getting your words
Thank you
to
very
us
much.
to give it
I
to
mean,
them.
the goalposts have moved already,
Yes.
right? They heard the residents, they heard us, and maybe the goalposts have to move yet again.
Right.
I've got chapter 2.
Okay.
Okay, last time I came here, I discussed trees with you
Mhm.
and the cutting of the trees.
Mhm.
How many trees are there in Mineola?
Oh, I don't know, but I can tell you that we cut about, between, depending on the year, between like 170 and 200 trees a year, and we replace 200 trees a year. So for every tree that's ever been cut down in the village, there is a tree planted, maybe not in the exact same spot,
Okay.
but like you'll see, if you go back to our minutes, every year around this time, we'll approve the purchase of trees, and then we have the nursery. They come out, they plant them usually in December, you know, the cold, because they're dormant. So every tree we cut down, we replace. Trees that are healthy are only cut down if they present some kind of danger, if they are, if we're redoing the road, like that's what's happening. That's what's happening on Wellington and Garfield, why we've cut all these trees down. We don't want to cut trees down, but if you want a new road, we need new gutters, we need new
That's
curbs.
interesting. You mentioned Garfield. I
Yeah.
saw a tree on Garfield that was cut,
Mhm.
and I talked to somebody there who was mowing the lawn. He said, well, it was here last week. I went away, I came back, and it was gone. And I'm looking around for what the problem for this tree is, and I don't see any problem. And I look at the stump, and I don't see any problem. So I go back to Google, and I just Google the address, and I see the tree is beautiful. And
Mhm.
I don't understand why the tree is cut.
Okay.
And I know that you're working with, it's Leonard, who's,
Lenny, yes.
okay. I'm just reading in the Garden City thing, they hired a guy who's like an arborist.
Arborist, yeah.
Okay, and he has a whole big history of this. So when he looks at trees, he really knows what he's looking at. He has a background in it. And who do we have in the village that
So
has that
our-
sort of level of
Right.
expertise?
Right. So what we do in that case, we have our engineering firm, the village engineers, D&B, Vergen Bertolucci. They go out, they survey, because we're rebuilding those streets, right? So we have to replace the road, we have to replace the gutters, we have to replace the curbs, we have to replace the aprons. In some cases, we may have to add drainage if the water, in that area, it's not a problem because there is pitch, but there are some areas of the village where it's very flat, so we have to add additional dry wells. So our engineer comes out, they survey, they look at, are the curbs being raised, are the sidewalks being raised, are the roots in the road? If we cut the root, so we can build the road and leave the tree, but we have to cut the roots on the tree facing, in the road facing side of the tree, which then destabilizes the tree, because the tree, instead of being like this, now it's only on one side where it has roots, and a storm comes by and knocks it over. So based on their findings, their decades and decades of doing this, they say, this tree has to go, this tree has to go, this tree has to go, that tree can stay, that tree can stay, that tree can stay, because they know what they're going to have to do to the road. And they don't want to compromise the tree. So the tree is healthy.
Yeah.
It could be perfectly healthy, and it breaks my heart. But I had 50 people here at a meeting who said, we want a new road. So you can't make an omelet without cracking eggs.
And
there
so if you
was-
want a new road, this is, and by the way, all
Yeah.
of those trees will be replaced, not with 50-year-old trees. And again, an education that I got from an arborist is 50, 60, 70, 100 years ago, in places like Garden City, where there aren't utility strips for the most part, because there aren't sidewalks, but in places like Mineola, you have a 3-foot wide utility strip where they planted a swamp maple that grows to be, 6 feet wide. Now it's overgrowing it. These trees were never intended to be placed in such a small piece of grass. What we do now is we get what's root-friendly trees, wire-friendly trees, trees that perhaps are not gonna grow to be 50, 60 feet tall, but they're also not gonna raise sidewalks, they're not gonna go into your water line or your sewer line, they're not gonna go into our sewer line, and they're not gonna force us to have to redo the road in 5 years. So it's, again, also a balancing act. For every person that comes here that doesn't want trees cut, I get another phone call for somebody who says, when are you gonna cut my tree?
You and I have discussed this.
We've had this,
Okay,
right.
but this part of it, okay, there are ways to work with the sidewalk around the tree so you don't have to cut down the tree. And it was, I don't think it was the University of Virginia, I don't remember, but I sent the whole
Mhm.
document to
Yep.
Leonard,
I
like
think I
months
saw
and
it.
months ago. I also
Yep.
sent you a few
Yep,
things.
I saw it.
Okay, and there are those avenues that you can work with, especially when you have a 100-year-old tree. I mean, holy smoke. The problem, that I see besides all of this is what's happening, are we gonna get another Sandy? And if we do, we need the trees to absorb the water. Are we gonna have another summer like we just had, which was probably the hottest, actually the hottest in Europe in, I don't know how many years, the hottest ever since 1900, from my understanding. I have a document here that I want to pass out to all of you, a New York Times article about what they're doing in Paris, because they're anticipating 122 degrees. 122 degrees, okay, where the roads melt. So what do you do with something like that? I'm going to backtrack here. On this building that's coming in, what is being done to help lower the environmental impact of the building on the roof
Mhm.
and in the basic structure? Because right now, I walked out to Jones Beach, and I see that they're doing stuff out there with geothermal and solar, so they're total electric thing out there, because
Mhm.
they're rebuilding all that. They're getting ready for the problem of the ocean rising.
Mhm.
What are we doing in Mineola, or what are we requesting of the buildings that you want to build to lower the impact on the climate?
So most of these buildings are LEED certified. To get the LEED certification, you have to have meet certain criteria. So we'll say, for example, when it comes to water, these buildings are equipped with water-efficient toilets, water-efficient showers. So they actually will not use as much water as like you and I, because your
Okay.
toilet is from the 1960s.
No,
and-
I got a new one.
Well, but what I'm saying is, and same thing with the windows. There's landscaping that has to be part of this, so there is greenery. They want to make these buildings attractive. In the case of Morgan Park, for example, they kept the whole center, that arcade, wide open to create this kind of public space, if you will, which they call a village green. It's not exactly a village green, but yeah, I mean, those things are important to me. I mean, I'm not, without getting too political, I'm certainly not a global warming denier. I'm not somebody who thinks it's a hoax or who thinks it's fake. I think that it's true because we've lived it,
Yeah.
I remember going ice skating on the sump in Memorial Park because the winters were so cold that it would freeze over for weeks on end. It never freezes anymore. So, we hear you, but know that for the last 40 or 50 years, the village of Mineola has been designated Tree City USA, which we have to document. We
Yeah.
have to send them how many trees we buy, plant. We recognize Arbor Day. So there is criteria. I know it's a symbolic, we have it upstairs. Every year is up there. But we do invest in greenery. We turf the fields at the Little League, and I made a point of making sure that the outfield remains grass. We could have turfed the whole thing. It actually would have been much more economical or economic
in terms of economies of scale to just do the whole thing, and then I wouldn't have to pay somebody to go there and cut the grass, water it, sprinkler it, et cetera.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to still have grass and trees and you know, nature. Those things are important.
Doesn't absorb the heat. The
That-
plastic
that the
really
stuff
gets
does,
hot.
Exactly. Oh, I know.
You know,
Yeah, I
it's,
know.
it's
I know.
totally not good. I want to give you this, well, there's more than one. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4. You got one, okay, say 3, there's 6 of you, right?
There's
Yeah.
5 plus Mr. Rivera.
Yeah, okay. So where's my copy?
Make
My
sure you
copy-
keep
no,
one.
No. I want you to see the front picture. They're cows, right? You got the cow picture?
Yeah.
Is this Willis Avenue?
No. This is in,
Oh, there's.
this is in the center of France
Do you need
somewhere.
another one down there?
Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Jeff's.
Yeah, I have one. You should have enough there, 6, right?
I got it.
Who didn't get one?
Oh, sorry, that's yours, Brian.
I used to do in school.
Oh, here, do you need one, John?
We have one. You don't have to cheat this.
I thought it was important to show you that the animal knows where the shade is, where the cool part of the day is, okay? I'm riding around and I see this and I go, oh, I have to bring this back to the board meeting in Mineola, because I'm concerned about the trees they're cutting down, and I want them to know that the animal with the tiny brain maybe, or a bigger brain, I don't know, knows where the coolest spot in the field is, all right? It's 29 degrees Celsius, it's 84 degrees Fahrenheit, it's really a hot day, and the animal knows exactly where he wants to be, you know? It's just natural. We were in Paris this summer, it was on the hottest day of the year there, and we had an apartment, and going out on the street, the whole street, it's trees. The difference between being in the trees and being out in the open is like 10 degrees. It's just,
Yep.
you don't need a brain cell. The High Line, we were on that this weekend. Walking, it was very hot on Sunday. Getting up there and walking among the trees, it's cool. I used to live down there when it was the West Side Highway, so
Right.
I know all this before they built it. I think it's really important to put as many trees as you can in Mineola, and I know that everything that's being cut, I'm going, my God, why did you do this? Why? And I see all the stumps around them. Really, there has to be an initiative here, and I encourage you to get an arborist to look at what's going on here, so you don't cut what's valuable to the city and valuable to the people.
I will add that if you've
Say.
been following our New York Forward proposal, so on Second Street and Main Street and First Street, where there are currently no trees at all. So if you're looking at the St. James, Morgan Park, Tony's Panini, that between Willis and the Boulevard, there's, I believe, not a single tree. And if you go by the parking garage on First Street, no trees. As part of our plan for the New York Forward money is we're gonna line Second Street with trees on the north side. So in front of St. James, there's gonna be trees and shrubbery there. And we're gonna continue that on Main Street, and then around the corner, next to the parking garage, there's the tree pits there with no trees in it. We're going to replace those trees. So there are gonna be places where we are going to plant more trees. And if you look at Memorial Park, we've lost a number of big trees during Irene, during Sandy, and during other storms that we've replaced, in many cases, with more than one tree. We just had a tree that was hit by lightning earlier this summer in Memorial Park. It's probably gonna have to come down because it's been compromised. So I agree with you 100%. Yeah, we can tell the difference between, you know, the parts that are shady and not
And
shady.
those that aren't, yeah.
And that's not, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that out, but we certainly are looking to create as much green space as we can. And when we have applicants here, we want them to include green space in what they're doing. We had an applicant a couple of months ago who is going to build a pocket park as part of his development with greenery, with, you know, shade and things of that nature. We've asked this applicant that you're talking about at 110 Willis to create shade structures for the parents when they're watching games. Not trees, but in this case, you know, not natural shade trees, but because it would be impossible to do it like on the field. But there's always an ongoing dialogue with all these things. So I certainly respect and appreciate and welcome your comments and anybody else's comments, and they are not, you know, they don't go in one ear and out the other. I think we can agree on a lot of those things, but we also have the other part of having to try to balance not having empty, dilapidated properties that invite, you know, things that we don't want in this village. So this is where we're at. Across the street from Davenport Press, there's that new little kiss and ride, we call it, park that was made there where the old tower, the switch tower for the Long Island Railroad was. There's a piece of property there that the MTA deeded to us that currently is just pebbles. It's got nothing, it's barren. We're going to make that a small pocket park with trees, with shrubs, with benches, with shade that will welcome people to come there and have an ice cream, et
Good
cetera.
idea.
So where we can, we do. And that's the goal. Okay, we'll see you
Yeah.
next week.
I got one question for you,
Sure.
but after the meeting.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Mr. Kaufman?
No,
No?
thank you very much. Thank you for your
Thank you.
time, and appreciate
Thank
it.
We
you.
appreciate it.
Yep.
We're gonna go home and watch the Yankees. I'll entertain a motion to close the public meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori, second by Trustee Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. Hope to see you at the Italian flag raising this Friday at 5 o'clock, and again, hearing next Wednesday right here at Village Hall, 6:30. Thank you. Have a great night. I'll come down.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks for letting me use your quote.
Do you remember the buildings on Old Country Road, right next to Willis Avenue and Main Street? The two-story brick buildings, they were horrible. They were neglected,